Freedom of Information Act. FOIA. BZ Watchdog News Network.
Here we go again, watchdogs. Welcome back to the only channel where government, oopsies, meet the industrial strength bleach of public records. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. And today, we're power washing. So, up on the menu, Winnsboro's very own Chief of Police, Sam Mayer, personally rang me up about Otto the Watchdog's encounter with Officer Kaela, feelings greater than facts, Carter. Yup, the same encounter where policy got treated like a speed bump. We'll play that call in a second, so you can hear it straight from the top dog's ringtone. Meanwhile, my records requests are cooking hotter than a dash cam on a Texas July. We leaned? Okay, I strong-armed the city's outside law firm until the cell phone messages and call histories were finally greenlit. Funny thing about sunlight, it makes people squint, or in this case, sprint. And speaking of sprinting, Officer Brennan Bassham, involved and then poof, resigned with the grace of a magician's smoke bomb right after those phone records got the go-ahead. Must have been allergic to transparency. So buckle up, pour your popcorn, and let's press play on the Chief Mayor's call. Now, before we dive in, do me a favor. Smash that like button. Drop a comment with your spiciest takeaway. Share this everywhere your aunt still forwards her chain emails. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of Accountability Theater. Roll the tape. Ask you a couple things over the phone if that's okay, because I have some policy questions. I think I might have done a request for a list of your policies.
So can I explain something real quick, and then I'll do my best to answer your questions?
Yes, sir.
Can I give you just a little bit of? So real quick, I just want to let you know that first of all, yes, unfortunately, we had I was not aware of the situation when Mr. Otto was here in town, and as soon as I was made aware of it, the citation was voided. My officers are young. We're a small department. I've just been here. Next week will be 6 months.
Okay.
We're trying to get. We are slowly, basically, and I'll send you. Yes, I saw your open records request. I'll send you everything I got. We are trying to. Basically, I'm in the process. I am drinking out of a fire hose. I'll just be honest with you. To the fact that we're trying to update policies. I've got a new assistant chief. They have some old policies here, and I'll send you everything we got. That's official right now. Last week, I was in the new chief development school. Taught by LawEnforcement that all Texas police chiefs are required to go to. Correct. So I got a lot of information, got a lot of contact information as far as updating policies. I know that I've been looking through it. So basically I will say that I can send you it, but I will also tell you that our policies right now probably don't reflect where we're going to be at in 90 days. Okay. I hope to have them more updated and better working condition. Okay. So again, we are not perfect. My goal, my motto has been for the last 10, 15 years probably is I try to be better tomorrow than I was today, and we are by far not perfect. Mistakes are made, and we try to correct them on a daily basis. That in life and in business and in everything else. Okay. We are trying to. Like I said, we are trying to do better. And we do have some training set up. We've got legal updates going on this week. We've got set up a gentleman to come in and speak directly to. The problem that we're running into here in Texas, and I'm sure you see part of it as well, and I get it from y'all's point of view. The problem is that we can't get anybody that wants to do the job. We can't even hardly fill our academies because everybody's being bashed on so hard. So at some point, we got to give a little bit of grace. And I get it that the thing of it is we don't want to violate anybody's rights. I'm all for the First Amendment. I'm all for freedom of speech. I'm all for that we have to train better. That this job requires us to be as good as it requires us to be the best, or to strive to be the best. I'm a veteran myself. But like I said, I'm new here. We're trying to get everything under control, but it doesn't happen overnight.
I do have a few issues with some stuff I've been looking at. It does center around Kaela Carter, though. She is a problem. She is a walking liability, the biggest one I've seen, and it's not just coming from your department. It's coming from Commerce. I'm noticing that Commerce is like the center, ground zero for breeding bad cops. And it could be because Brennan Bassham's dad, I'm guessing from the research I'm doing, is the chief of police, or was before he was demoted up there, when him and Kaela got involved in a federal civil lawsuit that got dropped. And then another lawsuit that you guys got hit with from 23 involving Brennan and I believe Lane Burdick out of your department that was recently just forced into a plea deal to avoid a lawsuit. I'm going to be looking into that judge and that prosecutor and that defense attorney. So there's a bunch of crap. I don't know what department you came from, Chief. I wasn't even looking into you yet. But the fact that you did reach out to me, that means a lot. The quick mistake of going for disorderly conduct. Whoever was on the phone that recited the word-for-word statute doesn't understand what a breach of the peace is. Just because somebody's offended doesn't mean it's a breach of the peace. I mean, I can sit there and say that his "We the People" tattoo on his arm of what's his name, Feddersen, Patrick Feddersen. That maybe that offended me. Why doesn't he arrest himself or cite himself? You know what I mean? It's being offended is just subjective. Offended is not even in the statute of A1 or A4 of disorderly conduct.
Yes, sir.
So I mean that's the training that I've been trying to get through, because I don't know who's teaching this in all the academies, and I'm not just saying the academy he went through. I'm hearing it with FTOs that have been on job 10 years. I'm hearing it on rookie cops. Well, you offended somebody, therefore it's disorderly.
I did hear an interesting number this week that I was unaware of after all these years, or this past week while down in some training. I didn't realize. So Texas has a little over 100 academies in it.
Yeah.
And so the basically we have, over the years I've seen I've been started in the jail, some working. So this is the first city I've ever worked for. This is I've always worked for county.
A lot of the I just want to pause you for a second. The best cops I've seen have actually started out of the jail at the sheriff's department.
So I started a little over 20 years ago in the jail, but where and I was encouraged to start in the jail and work my way up, but the thing of it is we're seeing more and more different academies and different just like anything else, and I don't know. That's one reason why I wanted to become an instructor, and because I wanted to put on classes. I saw a lot of death by PowerPoint. No different than so I've got my officers going to legal updates this week, and yes, they offer it online. But the thing of it is, we all know that people can click through the computer, and then they can, and then what did they really retain? So I'm requiring them all to go in person. I'm not a real big believer in the online stuff because again, you only comprehend what you comprehend.
Sure.
So I like in-person training, and so that's one of the things. Now, granted, there's I'm not a there has to be balance and everything. Are there a few minor classes out there that they might be able to attend? I'm not going to say I don't allow any online training, but I'm not a big proponent of it. So basically, like I said, we're trying to we're just focused on trying to be better and trying to get some training for everybody. And it's a process, because at the same time while we're trying to do that, we still have the day-to-day stuff that trying to manage all that stuff. So it's a lot. I know that we can do it, but it's just gonna. But I'm just. I guess the main word that I would say is that within reason. Nothing extraordinary, but people are just going to have to give us a little bit of grace.
No, and that's
to allow us to.
Chief Mayor, that's fine. We're willing to work with you if we can fix the department the way it should be, the way that everybody honoring their oath and doing the right thing. There's this Andrea Davis thing. Those two cops, by the way.
Who's Andrea Davis?
This is a case before you got there. Okay, this case was just resolved. In August, they were forced to take a plea deal. It involved Kaela Carter when she first got there, and Brennan Bassham when he was a corporal. Okay,
Okay.
These people were stalking somebody. I've got the video of it. 2 days before, they put on these bogus charges on these people. Now, their defense attorney, horrible. They paid him $10,000 and basically told them, hey, you're in a small town. You're most likely going to get found convicted because you challenged the cops verbally and cussed at them. You're going to be found guilty. So the best thing to do is take the time served plea deal. So, and then what they didn't realize is by doing that, the civil suit would be dropped. They were so scared into it that because they were suing the city of Winnsboro, naming Bassham and Carter and another officer by the name, I think, of Burdick or some. I don't know if they was with the sheriff's office at the time that it was filed, but I think he's with your office now. I have to go back and look. I look up so many names. It's, they're public service. They're supposed to be, the word public safety. I haven't seen that over the last 10 years. They are not being a public safety, more like being a public nuisance, bullies with badges. These are, like you said, the type of people that we are getting hired on because standards are getting so low because people are so desperate for bigger budgets that they're just needing more officers to write more tickets and arrest more people, incarcerate. I work with former and retired LEOs. Like I said, I went through the academy myself. I'm not against policing. I'm just against bad policing. And that's why Mr. Otto's sign said, fuck bad cops and back the blue. Now, if people actually took the time and read those signs and had a conversation, he could literally explain it to you what his signs say. Your officers didn't even take the time to look at those signs. That code enforcement, that ordinance, that falls under building regulations. That's meant for buildings with signs, not individuals expressing their free speech. And I think you realize that if you guys have obviously dismissed the citation because he doesn't know that the citation's even been voided out. Nobody knows that.
I'll be honest with you. Basically, me personally, I have not, but I know that they've tried to have a conversation, and you and I are having a civil conversation. I can have a civil conversation. We can even agree to disagree. Not that I disagree with anything you said, but we can. But in anything in life, I can have a civil conversation. We can talk about differences and do's and don'ts and what we can do better and all that stuff. But we have to be able to have a civil conversation. And when people are just yelling at you and everything, then it's kind of hard to have that civil conversation.
Well, understand on the phone, I understand that having a civil conversation, because I don't want you to hang up and the conversation be over. Okay? But if I'm out there and your cops are doing something stupid and saying stupid things like they normally do, then yeah, I'm going to yell, I'm going to scream, I'm going to rant, because at this point, I'm in fear that they're going to take my life or my liberty over something that they shouldn't be doing. And, I've been that way. I've been in that situation. There was an incident this happened this past weekend that you may be unaware of involving Kaela Carter again. I've had people reach out to me. In fact, I typed up the records request for the people that were involved so they can shoot it over to you. I don't know if you've received it yet. It's regarding, you may have sent it Friday.
Yeah, I'm seeing several that came in. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a lot that's come in.
I got you, and I've probably sent a lot of them, so it's my fault. But with her, the reason I had her send it is because it involves a juvenile. She's, grandmother, and she was there on scene with the mom and the kid and everything else involving Kaela Carter. My whole thing is, I know how records work. If there's a juvenile or a minor involved, I'm not going to be able to get it. Even if you were able to redact it, I probably wouldn't be able to get it because of the domestic or CPS relations. However, the family can. I'm not trying to put the kid out there. I have redaction software. I redact things when I need to redact them. But the parents are trying to get the footage because there's some things where allegedly, and I'm going to use that word allegedly, from the grandmother and the daughter, they have told me that Kaela Carter pulled the kid aside and basically coached the kid to tell the kid what to say so she can arrest the mother, who was arrested over the weekend and bailed out. And CPS does not want to pick up charges because the calls that were placed to CPS are not accurate. There is no physical harm done to this kid. And I would like to know, what is Kaela Carter doing, because she's involved. She is ground zero for every piece of misconduct I've been looking into between Commerce and Winnsboro. Almost everything I've looked into, Kaela Carter is involved. Now, I don't know Kaela. I've never met her. I didn't even know who she was until Otto went out there. But once I started putting stuff out and looking at it and doing my homework, I'm finding civil suits, I'm finding misconduct, I'm finding videos, I've got complaints. I mean, and it's crazy because it links Commerce to you, to your department. It's got Brennan involved in some things. It's got his dad. I'm pretty sure it's his dad, who's up in Commerce.
It's not his dad, because his dad's not an officer.
Okay, is it a relative?
I think I've heard that he had a cousin or something that was a chief at one time.
Yeah, he got demoted when that lawsuit hit Commerce 2 years ago.
Okay.
And that's when Kaela...
Because I just met the new chief of Commerce. In fact, the new chief of Commerce was in school with me last week.
Right, and the chief just hired another walking lawsuit. There's an issue with a guy that he just hired on September 25th that got sued out of Walters, Oklahoma, and bounced back and forth between that department to try to avoid the lawsuit. Excessive force, they settled out. He went to DeKalb, Texas, where he violated a paraplegic and blind man in a car, and that's why he's in Commerce. Commerce seems to be the breeding ground for bad cops, and I think you guys have an academy. I think it's Texas A&M from what I was doing my research over the weekend. So it's becoming a breeding ground, and I'm having the same issue out in Hillsboro where I'm at. They have a local college in Hillsboro, and they have a breeding ground for training bad cops because the local PD has some sort of involvement with the college and the academy, so they're not getting the proper training. I agree with you, Chief. A lot of what's going on is piss poor training, and they're not. It's just all these academies. I really think we should have a couple standard academies that you put people through, and if they can't hack it, they don't get hired on.
Well, I will say this, and again, I know that it's not going to happen overnight. The director at TCOLE was down last week speaking. He came in for a little bit.
And by the way, stop you there. TCOLE's a joke. I've dealt with them. They're a joke. But go ahead.
Well, they are the regulatory. I get it, but I get where I understand. But the thing at this time, they're the regulatory agency over law enforcement. And the thing of it is, they did just complete. They're trying to. There's a bunch of new things that they're getting put in place, and to be honest with you, it seemed like just what they were explaining. But it's gonna. It takes time. It doesn't just happen overnight when you're changing something as mass as what's going on. So the thing of it is, I did find out. It was interesting that the state of Texas is the only one that does. There are some standards that they do that they're trying to increase. I mean, so Texas is the only one that has their police chiefs that have to go through a class. But whereas in a lot of the other states, you can just become a chief and just take off with it. We have to complete that school within the first 24 months of the time that we're appointed. I've completed part 1, and then now I have to go back for part 2. So, I mean, again, they're just growing. It's but it takes time to change things.
No, I get it, and like I said, the jail system. I'm working on that. They're 30 years behind on catching up. So trust me, there's some things that.
But how do you overcome 30 years, for instance? And I mean, it takes time.
It does take time. I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing that.
It is frustrating for us. It is frustrating when you're trying to make those changes.
But you know where it starts is training them now in the academy instead of training them the old ways, because that's what you're doing is you're teaching them the old ways that have changed, and when they get out there, they are.
I would agree with you there.
Because that's what I'm seeing with this disorderly conduct. When I'm out there, Chief, the 4 things that I always see is they're always trying to charge for interference, which is so broad, and a lot of those cases get dropped. 2, disorderly conduct. Most of the time, they all get dropped because the officers think just, like I said, the being offensive is enough, but it doesn't rise to the level of fighting words or incitement doctrines. And then you have trespassing, which they don't understand trespassing. and then failure to identify, which you have to be lawfully arrested, not just detained, unless you're driving a motor vehicle as a driver. Because at that point it's not RAS, it's probable cause. Because if I don't have a blinker on, that's enough to take me to jail. Any infraction of law could take me to the jail. That's the Supreme Court ruling. So it's probable cause because it was witnessed in an officer's presence. So I can either be taken to jail and go through all that, or I can simply, based on the transportation code and being lawfully arrested, hand over my license, insurance, and registration, and go about my day. Fight it in court. I may not agree with it. Oh well, I'll fight it in court. The court system's, again, a whole nother animal, and I'm fighting that too, because judges don't like to follow the criminal court of procedures, and the whole system in Texas is screwed up. Like I said, going back to the jail, you as a jailer had to learn how to use your words because you didn't have a gun in there.
Right.
You had to use your words to diffuse a situation and treat people with respect, or bad things happen to you. Okay? These young punks, and that's what I'm 46 years old, Chief. So when I say young punks, anybody under 40. Okay. So anybody under 40 is too quick with a temper to go for a gun or a taser. These young people under 40 are too quick to go for a gun or a taser and assert authority instead of having a conversation and explaining. If you walk up to a traffic stop and say, hey, I'm Officer so-and-so with Winnsboro PD. The reason for the stop today is XYZ. Can I get your license, registration, insurance? It diffuses stuff because, A, you've already informed them who you are, so there's no name and badge number, video recorded going back and forth. So there's the hostility and aggressive has been diffused right there. 2, you told them why you're being stopped, because when people don't know why they're being fucked with, and pardon my French, they tend to give a little flack back. And 3, now you've been addressed. Now I need your documentation. The officer's done nothing wrong at this point, and now any escalation is going to be on the driver. It's not going to be on the officer. That's how I look at it. I don't want it to be on the officer, because if they're cool, calm, and professional, I got no reason to give them any beef. Problem is,
I agree. That's one reason why I enjoy teaching the citizens interaction training.
Because this whole give me your license and insurance, and it's like, well, what I do? Well, give me your license first. Cops are so fixated on that crack ID. It's like a crackhead wanting a fix. A cop is like that when it comes to ID. And ID's not going to tell you who I am or what I've done. The thing is, I don't want to give up my Fourth Amendment. Why don't you tell me why or what I did, what your probable cause is, and I'll be more than happy to comply. But I'm not going to comply to any unlawful orders or anything I seem to be unlawful, because you're not telling me what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm not in the military anymore. I don't follow orders. I only follow lawful orders that I'm obligated by law to follow. But how do I know that? How do I know you're not lying? And I've seen a lot of cops lie on affidavits. I've seen a lot of cops lie to people. I mean, the Supreme Court says that officers can lie during an investigation to get a confession. So how do I know that officer's telling me the truth?
Yeah.
Public trust, right? Ain't it about public trust? And I mean,
yes,
I mean, from what you're saying, I believe, coming in new with your history, with being a veteran, and trying to correct the issues before they become an issue, I think you do mean well. The people are angry, and it's not just Winnsboro. I mean, it's a lot of places, and it's because of the training and the standards. I completely agree with you. I'm just letting you know that you've got 2 problems on your department, and I'm not saying you got to go fire them, because there's processes.
Well, So Officer Bassham actually this past Friday was his last day, so he's no longer here.
Really?
Yes. I'm in the process. I'm in trying to answer emails. I got to do his at 5 this morning.
Okay. Now, question for you, Chief, and I know you can't indulge a whole lot of stuff without records request, and I know I can't get an F5 from you because it's confidential under the records request. I'm a records guy. Now, off the record, was that a forced or voluntary choice?
Difference in culture. We just decided that he wanted to go try something different. He wanted to go try a different place.
Okay, so that wasn't based on this video that came out or the lawsuit that I'm asking because I'm trying to see if this was a.
No, it has. To be honest with you telling me about this is the first I'm aware of that.
Oh, and I'd be willing to send you the information so you can see for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Don't ever take my word for it.
No, but I'm just saying. But as far as that was a. He actually. No, it had to do with any of that.
Hey, you cut out.
This is the first I'm aware.
You cut out for a second, Chief. What was that last part?
I just said no. As far as that was the first. Basically, he burned up some vacation the last couple of days, and the first time, but it had nothing to do with any of that because like I said, this conversation was the first time I was aware of any of that.
Yeah, and like I said, I think you heard me and you said it. You know, I can always send you the link to the videos if you want to see for yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know where he went? Do you know where he went by chance? Because usually when they leave, they usually already have something else lined up somewhere else.
I don't know. I haven't gotten anything because now in Texas, basically we know when I haven't gotten saying where he's going or I haven't gotten because I'll have to send his file to whoever.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll keep an eye on his TCOLE license to see where he popped up. I got access to all that, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just curious on if it was going to be somewhere like Commerce again. It's or some of the other shitholes that we've been trying to. And I don't want to say I don't want to knock these cities when I say shitholes. Just these breeding grounds for allowing stuff to go unresolved for so long. And you know how it is when you don't take care of. It's like cancer. I don't know if you know anybody with cancer. When you got cancer and it starts spreading, if you don't cut it out
yes, sir.
When you don't cut out the cancer right away, it spreads, and it corrupts the entire body. And it's like that with a department. When you got one bad apple, it ruins the orchard for everybody. And like I said, you may have some good cops in your midst. You may. And you may not. And you may have had good ones that have gone bad because of the bad apples within the department. Again, it goes back to like you're saying. It's the culture. Depending on what the leadership did or allowed, has filtered all the way down to the rookies. And it's a shame because one bad chief can ruin a whole department of officers that end up leaving and going somewhere else.
I firmly agree with you there. And that's the thing that is, I'm like I said, I had a first sergeant one time that preached that leaders lead from the front and they lead by example. And
exactly.
That's what I'm trying to do.
You said you're a veteran. What branch, sir?
Army.
Okay.
Army. That's what we are. As far as the, yes, I got your emails for the records request. Gotten them over to our HR lady for both records and everything.
And let's just make it right. That's all I'm about, is just making things right. I think it's better to own up to a mistake and apologize than it is to try to lie and cover up a mistake, because the mistake is going to eventually come out, and then it's going to show that you lied and made the mistake and covered it up, and then it makes it worse than what it was.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Well, I do appreciate our conversation. I do appreciate the cordial conversation.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. It's always cordial.
I'm gonna look into this. We'll go from there, and then I will. I'll be in touch with you. Let me look into a couple things.
Yeah,
you brought to my attention. And,
sir, you got my number. If there's anything I can ever answer for you, a question, or if you have any concerns whatsoever, I like working with the departments if they're willing to work with us. It's just we're not trying to sit there and get rid of a police department. We're not trying to get every cop in the department arrested. We're not trying to get everybody fired. That's not what we're about. We're just about the bad cops that you do have, so that the good cops don't look bad and the good cops can do their job.
Yes, sir. Okay, well, again, I appreciate it, and I'll look into this, and I will touch base with you later on in the week.
Yes, sir. I appreciate the call,
okay.
sir.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Freedom of Information Act. FOIA.
BZ Watchdog News Network. Watchdog.